Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, and my co-host is logging on a little bit late, so she will be on shortly in a few minutes. I need to take a swig of water. Excuse me for that. We have another amazing lineup for tonight. We have two guests that have never been on the show, and then our last two guests are people that you probably know from them having been on the show. So the only housekeeping note I have is that the National Black Book Festival is coming up. It's only 4.5 weeks away, and we have one slot available if someone wants to take it. So if you are interested, sign in on our website and sign up on our website, and also the schedule is there as well. The hour by hour schedule is there as well. So we have our first guest, and he is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist and an author as well. I don't know if he won the Pulitzer for his journalism or his books, but his name is Trymaine Lee, and we're going to bring him on camera shortly. But my co-host is joining me, and I wanted to ask her, did you get my message, Rhonda?
I did get your message, and you take care of you. I got you.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring, I already made you the co-host. I'm going to bring the guest on and introduce him, and I'm going to go off camera for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll be back. So we want to welcome to the show Trymaine Lee, and he has a new book that just came out a couple of weeks ago. He has it behind him, 1,000 Ways to Die, and he is not only a Pulitzer Prize winner, but he's an Emmy Award winner for journalism. Well, I don't know what it's for exactly. So welcome to the show, first of all. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
How you doing? Thank you so much for having me. It's Trymaine Lee, and I did indeed win a Pulitzer for my coverage of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans.
Oh, okay. Well, my co-host,
we have a lot to talk about then.
Yes.
I'm from New Orleans.
Off camera for a few minutes, and I will be back, but Rhonda will be handling the interview from this point, and I'll probably be back before the end.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, welcome to the show, Trymaine Lee. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm really looking forward to talking with you, especially because I know about, you just talked about your coverage of Hurricane Katrina, and being from New Orleans. I wasn't living in New Orleans at the time that Katrina happened, but my mother was. And she wound up moving in with me in Maryland. And she barely got out of New Orleans. I think the hurricane hit that night and she was finally able to get out. She was part of that contraflow, and which they didn't talk a lot about. I watched a lot of the coverage that they did for the anniversary, and they talked a little bit about the contraflow, but that was a huge part of the evacuation. So I was very surprised about that.
That's right. Yeah, well, we're glad she made it out safely 20 years later. We can reflect on how much destruction there was, but New Orleans is also is a special kind of place where people are patching the community back together themselves. So very proud of my connection to the city.
Are you from New Orleans?
No, I'm from South Jersey originally, but I got down there about 4 months before Katrina, working for the Times-Picayune. So I just got down there. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Times-Picayune. They merged with the Advocate.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So wow, yeah, you know a little something about the city.
Yeah, I was down there for a little while.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you for your coverage and thank you for caring about the city. I mean, that's something that I've always treasured. I mean, there were so many people who came to capitalize on the city, but people who actually cared about the city and showed how they cared about the city. I appreciate people like you. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your book, A Thousand Ways to Die, The True Cost of Violence on Black Life in America.
Yeah, so this book has
That's a
been
mouthful.
yeah, it is, and it's a little provocative and weighty, but for most of my career, I've worked at the intersection of Black death and survival as a police reporter, and so I set out to tell the story of the cost we pay as community and family every single day, tracking my own family's experience with gun violence as a way to speak to how throughout time and across geography, our communities have been shaped by that same violence.
Okay, can you hear me okay? I think I lost you for a second.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, what are some of the topics that you hit on within the book?
Yeah, so basically, I go back from the beginning of my own family's experience, going back to Jim Crow, Georgia, to speak to the systemic nature of the violence that Black people have experienced. And so by the time we get to modern times with a trigger and a bullet, our communities have experienced all kinds of systemic violence long before a trigger is ever pulled. And so while walking readers through my own family's history of violence, I'm speaking to the many ways in which, the gun violence and political violence and policy has shaped how we've experienced this country.
Now, you mentioned that at 38, you almost died of a heart attack. And when you were talking to your daughter, you realized that was just one of the ways that Black men could die in this country.
Yeah, so at 38, 2 years into the reporting and writing of this book, I suffered a heart attack, a pretty bad one. And in the aftermath, as I was getting healthy, my daughter, who was 5, going on 6 years old, was asking me, how and why. And, I didn't have any, preconditions, no high blood pressure, no family history. So to be honest about my answer to her, I had to really dig into what I was carrying. And it was a lot of trauma from every story I've covered, but also that family history of violence, a history of trauma that we never fully addressed. Like so many of us in this country are carrying around this kind of baggage that we haven't found ways to break down and move past. And so we're existing coiled up and inflicting more trauma on ourselves sometimes, as we're unable to shed the weight of that trauma. And so in answering her question, I was able to and forced to really expand the aperture of what violence really is, because there is the physical violence, but then there's the silent violence that we carry within from our histories, but also for me as a Black journalist. So it's a braiding of history and memoir and deep reporting.
Yeah, I think that, it's so easy often for a person who is not a Black man to say you need to get over it or stop blaming the system and all of these things that we say to a Black man who's trying to make it.
Yeah,
And everybody wasn't born in a situation where they could just go to college and then get a great job and live an all-American life.
that's right.
And sometimes, no matter how many smarts they have, they don't have the opportunity. So you have that on top of the stresses of just being a Black man trying to exist. And those pressures seem to mount on each other. Um,
Yeah.
did you, I know you already know that being a Black man yourself, but did that really weigh on you even more as you were writing this book?
Well, certainly. I mean, a lot of what went into this book is me experiencing America as a Black man and operating in white spaces as a journalist and trying to tell Black stories and encountering the barriers of white ignorance and white privilege and all those things we have to navigate to tell our stories. But certainly, I think one of the biggest issues that we face is we tend to take on and internalize all of what we experience. And I think especially as Black men, but Black people, we are not the violence we experience, right? And none of this is our fault per se. That's not to say we shouldn't be held accountable and hold others to account. But if you want to understand American violence, you have to look at the systemic violence that created the environments for us to experience it the way we do.
Do you think that, and believe me, I agree wholeheartedly with you. But do you think that, in saying that though, that there is also a level of responsibility that we must play
Of
ourselves?
course, of course. But I mean, by the time we get to that point, I mean, for young people, conflict resolution, you need to be held accountable for harming your neighbors and your brothers, of course. But it would be another form of violence for us not to fully understand the nature of the violence around us. When you think about communities that experience the most gun violence, they're also the hungriest. They're densely populated and disinvested, right? There's lack of access to quality healthcare and often
Hmm.
education, the air that we breathe and the water that we drink. And so well-heeled Black communities also, where there's food in the refrigerator and parents who have money to provide access to the fruits of what it means to be an American, those places don't experience the same kind of violence. And so unless we're saying that there's something inherent about these young men, that there's something wrong with these young men in particular, then I think we're missing the point. By the time we get to getting shot, we've already missed the boat.
Mm.
And again, that's not to say that we shouldn't, especially as Black men. We need to make sure we're engaging with these young men. We need to make sure that we're teaching young folks conflict resolution. We need to make sure that we are a consistent presence in their lives, and offering mentorship, etc. But the issue, forgive me, the issue is so much bigger than our individual actions. There's systemic forces here.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned also that you had the chance to trace your ancestors' footsteps in Ghana.
Yeah.
And many of the people I have spoken to who have had that experience have said it was life-changing. Did that experience shape the way that you see the way Black men live in America?
Well, I think not just Black men, but I think one of the discoveries I made along the way that I just didn't have a great sense of is the role that guns played in our enslavement, not just in helping to round people up, but as European powers were developing gun technology, they were applying regional African powers with guns to create more instability in war, to create more enslaved people. And so it was part and parcel in the early 18th century, as you see gun technology rising, the increase in weapons and also ammunitions and gunpowder going to us to further destabilize the continent. And so to be in those dungeons where Black men and women would have been treated for guns, and hearing the tour guides talk about how what the Europeans did was build churches above the cages so that we could hear them praying to their God as ours was being stripped away, and then being bartered for firearms, and then having a rifle at our backs pushing us out of Africa, and then being greeted in the hell of the Western world with more white men with guns, and then decades and generations of gun violence maintaining this white supremacist system. I do feel a deeper connection from whence we came and to our ancestors, and not just those that didn't survive, but the miracle and the resolve it took and the fortitude it took for our people to survive. And so I certainly feel deeply connected, but I also can't help but imagine the kind of psychic, ethereal connection between Black people and guns and how that dynamic would shape us throughout history.
Yeah, often it's that sense of not having power, and then now you have something that you see as the equalizer that's giving you the power that you didn't think you had before.
Yeah, well, certainly in a nation where white men with guns, that's how they've been able to maintain the power and authority. And so certainly there are a lot of Black people in this country to aspire to some degree of that kind of freedom. But I'd argue that as much as guns have served as our protection throughout our history here, when you think about those Union soldiers, 300,000 Black men who fought in the Civil War, then to come home with their rifles to protect us against the Klan and marauders. And then in places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, during the race massacre, it was World War I veterans who were the first to step up in our defense, right? So time and again, the deacons of defense who protected Southern ministers and Southern activists like Dr. King. And so certainly guns have played a role in our defense. But more than anything, I'd argue they've been used for our destruction.
Well, I was still listening while I was taking a little break. So, I have a question. Uh, what you described as reporting on gun violence as a journalist, kind of harken back to uh, the main character in my novel, my first novel that I wrote. He was a journalist who was covering the crimes in Houston. He was fed up. He was at a crossroads, and he got tired of covering like the mayhem on the streets of Houston, which would be indicative of most major cities.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if your constant exposure to that, because you had to report on it, do you think that affects your point of view about it?
Well, certainly. I mean,
Like
not
you're
just my.
immersed in it more so than the average person would be, other than if they lived in the community with a lot of violence.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt, being steeped in it changed the course of this book, but also my life, and I believe also led to my heart attack. Holding on to all these shards of glass, right? How many shards can you gather before you bleed yourself? And also weighing my family history, going back 100 years to the Jim Crow South, when my grandmother's 12-year-old brother was shot and killed in a sundown town, and then in the 1950s when first my family landed in Philadelphia, then South Jersey, and a second of her brothers was killed by a state trooper, or in 76 when my grandfather was murdered by a prospective tenant, or in 96 when my stepbrother was shot and killed by a female, or Atlantic City, my cousin in the early 2000s was shot and killed. And so certainly carrying my family history, certainly carrying my work as a journalist on the front lines, who's always felt mission driven to shine a light on our humanity, even the last breaths of our lives. There's zero doubt that that's shaped me personally, but also the way I've moved through the world and the way I've told these stories, always in an effort to humanize us. And so there's zero doubt that what I've experienced as a journalist and a man has shaped, my career and the way I approach my journalism.
And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. I mean, it's just all of these weights that you have to carry, and still people feel like you have to show up. You have to show up without a care. You have to show up as strong. And how do you show up as strong all the time when you're carrying these weights? And sometimes I guess that's why I get frustrated with people who say, I'm not my ancestors, or that I wouldn't have stood for that back in the day.
Yeah.
You don't know what you would have done in those situations.
Well, also, I'd say that we should dream to have 1/10 of what our ancestors had to get us to this point. And so
Yes.
sometimes when I hear that, I want to smack somebody in the head when they say I'm not, or wear a T-shirt that says that. How dare you?
Yeah.
Do you know who we come from? We come from the greatest people on the face of the planet. There's no other people that could have survived this. But to the point of the weight, especially with the extra expectations that some of us have as men, some of us do crumble. But I hope we're at a space now where we can name the trauma, name the weight, and find healthy ways to shed that weight from our shoulders. I think even myself as a young journalist, what I did is I turned even further into the work, or we turned to hanging out and drinking, or if you're single, you're chasing women around, you're doing all these things instead of actually confront what's really ailing you. And sometimes that is the trauma and the expectations. And so hopefully, among many things, this book offers an opportunity to have that real conversation. And as men, and this book is about more than just men, but the specific kind of weight that men carry, I think we have to be vulnerable enough to admit that the weight exists and then help each other at least shed it so we can be there for our families and our children and our communities.
Yeah, you've shared a lot and connected a lot of things together. A lot of times when there is a timeline, it may not be a straight line, but it's still a line.
That's right.
It's still a connection. And what do you think in your book? Do you talk about some of the possible solutions?
Yeah, well, I think a big part of it is, and this overriding theme for me is to remind Black people that ain't nothing wrong with us. If we want to understand what's wrong with us, let's look at the machinery and the systems built around us. And in that space, certainly there's accountability. Certainly there's, us standing up for ourselves. But I think the only way we can move forward is if we recognize the forces that we're actually up against. Because in that gap, right, if we don't fill in the truth, others like the president of the United States, who just 2 weeks ago, when he was talking about the threat of occupying major cities, he said it doesn't matter if it's 5 years or 10 years, these people are born to be criminals. And sometimes we embrace some of that same white supremacist thinking that there must be something wrong with us. And so the first thing for what I hope folks take away is that you need to understand history and understand that unbroken line you talk about. There's a continuum of history there, and there's never been a chink in that continuum. But also I think there are this isn't a prescriptive book, so I don't get into policy. But I think there's an industry that's capitalizing off of fear of us and our bloodshed, right? And so I think part of the broadest systemic view is understanding the history, but also understanding how we got in this place, in the first place, and thinking to the industry itself getting paid off of us.
Now, what role do you think, and this is statistically true, that young men today are not growing up with their fathers daily in their lives? Not enough of them. And they end up looking for manhood outside of the covering of learning it from their dad daily. How much of a role do you think that plays?
I think generally that's important for stability, for income, to having role models and mentors, to having someone you can lean on and talk to, certainly. And again, this isn't to shift any of the blame off of those who willfully don't want to be in the picture. But all of this was also part of the program. And lest we forget how Black men weren't allowed to be in the home if women wanted to get government assistance, right? And so again, not to take off the responsibility of men, and certainly we need more men, not just for our boys but for our girls. But I think the instability that our young people face, if we were to think back to the 40s and 50s, before we saw this great decline in two-parent Black homes, we still were being abused by police. We still were facing the violence of a system that kept us othered. We still didn't have access to quality healthcare, right? Those things that were still there. But certainly we'd be better off if we had more men in position, and more men that are healthy in their right physical frame and in their minds. And so I don't think that, but I think we have to be careful, because that's an easy out for the system that created much of the destruction in the first place. Because all they have to do is say, well, where's the men? What if the men are there? We still don't have access to higher education, same rates. We still don't get the same pay as other people when we are in those jobs. And even when we are middle income, we're still living in communities that are more disinvested than our white counterparts who have less education. And so that certainly will solve for some things. And I think we should all be advocating for our brothers to make sure that we're there for our people, not just your kids, but our communities. But I think we have to be careful, because that gives an easy out for those who already don't see us as full human.
Absolutely. Now, this book has only been out for a short time, just a couple of weeks now, right?
Yeah, it came out September 9th. So this is the start of week 3.
Wow. And what's the I know it's still early, but what's been some of the feedback you've received so far?
Oh, it's been great. I just got off a 7-city tour. So I went up and down the East Coast, literally just got home over the weekend. Great reviews from Kirkus to book pages to, it's selling well. It's ranked among the top in the Amazon sales charts for African American biographies and memoirs. So it's been doing really well. A bunch of great excerpts and reviews in the various magazines. So it's been great.
You also mentioned that even though you're talking about the title addresses Black men, that many of the issues that you're discussing in the book are not just happening to men. So have you gotten positive feedback from women who have been able to identify with some of the issues you're discussing?
Yeah, the issue as it relates to men is just more thematic, because there's nothing in the title that speaks directly towards men. But I think when you think about the trauma that Black women especially experience, and I think about my own grandmother who lost 2 brothers and a husband to murder. I think about my own mother and aunts and sister whenever we were young and leaving the house, the concern. You see somebody's car in the news involved in something that looks like one of ours. The constantly being there when, unfortunately, Black women do have to bury us young, and not just from the bullet, but all the other forms of violence, like the stress on us, the cardiovascular disease, all the myriad issues that we experience. And so it speaks as much to Black men as the health and safety of Black families and communities. And even tracking my own, My mother was one of 8 kids who all in their own way had to grapple with the murder of their father and what that absence meant and how they would go on to raise their own families. And how, again, we have these various talks with our own children about preparing them for a world that is hostile at best and violent at most. And what that means to be Black and have to harbor that, and what it means to push forward and still have the resilience and resolve to push through and dare to dream and dare to have an imagination about the possibilities of life, right? And so, yes, it's far beyond just Black men, but I think, the response again has been great because it's both a mirror to America, but also a monument to all those we've lost along the way.
Now, on 1,000 Ways to Die, was that your working title from jump, or did that evolve over time?
Yeah. Well, it definitely evolved. In the very beginning, the title was $1 Million Bullets. And so the original incarnation of the book was about the true cost of gun violence in this country in terms of actual dollars. So many years ago, about 22 years ago, when I was an intern at the Philadelphia Daily News, I met a young man who had been shot and left paralyzed during a robbery attempt. Some other teenagers were trying to rob him for his basketball jersey and shot him in the back of the neck. And when I met him and his family, he had he had a big smile. He had this spirit about him, despite the fact that he couldn't move anything below his neck. He had this beautiful spirit. But his mother recognized fully what had been stolen from him. And in his hospital room, just days after he was shot, she started to go through the list of things they'd have to pay just to get him home, right? So they needed a special wheelchair. They needed a special van. They needed a ramp for their North Philly row home. They needed to have the doors widened. They needed to have the receptacles changed out to handle his breathing machine. And this is just a poor family from North Philly. And so I started thinking about the cost in like literal dollars. And I said, a lot of people don't care about the Kevin Johnsons of the world, but maybe they care that we're all bearing a literal price for gun violence, because most people who are shot and wounded and survive don't have private insurance. They have public insurance. So we are all literally footing the bill. And so that was the working premise of the book. And then in writing that's when I had my heart attack, and I had to widen the aperture on what the violence actually is, and blood clots and bullets, and how both can shatter a life, and both arise from how we experience as Black people violence in this country. And so 1,000 Ways to Die ended up speaking to, there is certainly the bullet, but then there's also all the other forms of violence, right? That Black people sleep almost 2 hours less than the average white person. That's a form of violence. And all of the diseases and the physical manifestations that come from that, let alone the stress that we walk around with, right? And engaging with the systems and engaging with trying to provide and trying to engage against some of the literal white supremacist violence that we experience, like Buffalo or Charleston, Mother Emanuel Church, right? And so it evolved to broaden the idea of the violence that we experience in this country.
So you had started writing the book before you had your heart attack.
Oh, I was writing it for 2 years. I was 2 years in when it happened, and then I put the pen down. I stopped writing.
That was the catalyst to keep going.
That changed. What changed everything, right? Because the initial incarnation was an important one, and it's one that I still think we need to fully understand the actual cost. But having death walk up on me while I'm writing a book about violence and death just forced me to have, it led me to have a certain clarity about the story I was trying to tell. And now it's finally, I believe, the book that it's supposed to be.
Wow.
Well, we only have about a minute left, but if you can just remind us where we can find a book. We already see the cover right behind you.
Yeah.
Now you can get the book wherever you buy books. I would direct folks to bookshop.org and search out your favorite Black-owned bookstore or independent bookstore. Make sure we show the independents some love. But you can also get it, wherever you find books. And also, referring back to Katrina, I have a documentary called Hope in High Water, People's Recovery 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, on Peacock right now. So it's Hope in High Water, and it's on Peacock, since I know you're from New Orleans and I know your viewers might care. So.
Okay, now that's not the one that's on Netflix.
No, this one's on Peacock. That's
okay.
Hell in High Water.
It's a different one.
Yeah, ours is Hope in High Water. That's Hell in High Water.
Oh,
so
okay.
Ours is a little,
I saw the one on Netflix. I think it's 5 parts.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. I mean, I will say that some of the 20-year documentaries have been really well done. Um,
Hmm.
so I would really love to see yours. I do have Peacock, and I will be looking
Yeah.
for it.
Check it out. Ours is less a recitation on all the destruction, and it's about how communities and organizers find a way to patch the city and heal themselves, right? So it's not about
Absolutely.
what was lost, it's what we
Okay.
were able to
Okay.
gain.
Oh,
Love it.
okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I think more information is better as far as that's concerned. Uh, Katrina was very dramatic, and uh, I had forgotten how traumatic it was.
Hmm.
Um,
I
just
did.
because I wasn't in New Orleans and I didn't have people in New Orleans. I
Yeah,
was more, on the outside hearing about it. But we did. Houston was the hub for a lot of the people who left, and a
that's right.
lot of those people are still here. A
Yep.
lot of the people who left Katrina are still in Houston. And so, thank you so much for being a guest on the show, Trymaine.
Thank you.
Your passion for your topic really shows.
Thank
So,
you very much for having me.
this,
This is a great opportunity to keep having the conversation. So thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
okay.
All right.
Have a
Well,
great
you
night.
have a wonderful evening.
All right, y'all too.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, bye.
So the few minutes I had, it worked, Wanda. Because I
Good.
was like, what is it? You know, but sometimes sometimes if you eat something that makes you have a gas buildup,
Hmm.
I think that's what it was because it's gone now. I mean, but it was really, and it doesn't happen often, hardly ever. But I feel better. I was like, "Ooh, I got a lot out. I need to take some time." I thought I might have to just not do the show at all, but now I feel fine. So anyway, thank you for doing the duty. I
Oh,
was
no
listening the whole
problem.
time, and that's the beauty of having a co-host. And also, Rhonda, you missed the show when we celebrated our 800th guest. But
Man, yeah.
yeah, but we crossed the 800 threshold now. And the next one, I don't know when we'll get 900 because every 100 takes longer because they have to be new guests.
Right.
So but um we keep plugging along. So our next guest is Lorna Lewis, and I'm going to ask her a question because I believe I know the answer to it. Uh, do you write under two different names, Lorna? Okay. All right. Unmute your mic.
Lorna, who you pretending to be? I only knew you as
Yeah.
Lorna.
Yeah. Because I said, okay, wait a minute. When I was researching it, I kept coming across another name, and it was like there were parallels and connections, and then the email ended up being one way, and I said, okay, I think this is a pseudonym. uh or maybe she's writing under 5 different personalities, who knows.
Oh,
But
our self-published books are under L.A. Lewis.
okay.
And this
Okay.
book is traditionally published, so it was almost like a rebrand. So they asked if
Okay.
I mind writing under Lorna Lewis versus L.A. Lewis. So I said,
Okay,
let's
so
go for
Lorna
it.
is your actual name.
Yes.
Okay. And I had mentioned to you in the email that my book club selected your book. So I got
Yes,
my
thank
copy,
you.
A Sky Full of Love. I haven't started it yet because I just got it yesterday, but um, I did get my
Thank you.
copy. We're going to be discussing it for our October meeting. So um,
Yay.
hey, and it was because one of our members was reading it for another. I'm in two book clubs. She's in two book clubs, and she was reading it in her other book club, and then she recommended it. So we
I've been
decided.
meeting with some serious readers.
Yeah.
Listen, I 2 or 3 book clubs. I'm like, how? How?
Well, one of mine is monthly. The other one is every other month. So
Okay,
it makes it easier to read the book.
gotcha.
But yeah, some people are in, 2 or 3, and then my other book club, they read different books.
Okay.
My other book club is my church book club. So
Gotcha.
sometimes they'll read, a faith-based book. And I don't read that much nonfiction, so I don't normally, a lot of times I don't even read those because I don't read a lot of nonfiction.
Yeah.
This is not my thing. So
Right.
now,
But
is
I
this
like
your,
I like to read nonfiction when it comes to memoirs. I'm not as
Mm-hmm.
much into self-help, but I love a good
right?
memoir.
Yeah.
Me
Now
too.
I'll read a memoir, but
Me too.
or a historical fiction book about somebody where the book
Right.
is
Yeah.
really almost a autobiography, but
Mm-hmm.
they they have to make it fiction because they're doing putting parts in it to make it readable, more like a
Make
novel.
it more
Right.
interesting.
Right.
But
Now
but
this
now,
book,
Lorna, we're about to say the same thing. You go ahead and start.
well, this book is it's a little hefty, and but this is contemporary, right? It's not
It's women's
historical.
fiction. Hmm.
Okay. Now, is this the only book you have under Lorna Lewis?
Yes, so
Okay,
far.
so far. And I think when I looked on Amazon, you had 11,000 reviews, I think, and the
Yes.
book
Yeah,
just
you're
came
up to
out.
11,000. The last time I saw
Yeah,
it was 10,000. When I posted you to
Yes.
my Instagram, it was 10. What
Yeah.
in the world, Lorna? What are you doing?
yeah. And
A lot
it
of
was
word of
almost
mouth.
like a 5 star. It was 4.5 stars. It was so people really like it too. And
Yes, the
sometimes you get a
reviews have
lot of
been great.
reviews, and then it cuts down. The lower numbers cut your rating down. But
Right.
you got a lot of reviews, so that means a lot of people have read your book.
Yes. I'm so grateful. So, so grateful.
Now, tell us a little bit about what's the storyline.
Okay. So, A Sky Full of Love, even though it sounds like a romance, it is not. It is, there's some romantic parts, but like I said, it's women's fiction. So in my stories, I like to put women through unimaginable circumstances to show their strength and show how they thrive and get out on the other side a different person. So this book is no different. It starts off with Nova. Nova has been kidnapped and locked up for 15 years. And after she's found and released and back to her family, the world has changed because she had no idea. She wasn't watching television. She wasn't listening to the radio. The guy who had her wasn't telling her, any current events or anything like that. So when it was like, it was a whole new world from 2003 to 2018. So much has changed. So Nova's trying to figure out her space in this new world and in her family because a lot changed in her family. Even though it's on the back cover, I'm always skeptical about giving
The
the biggest
spoiler, which
change
is
because
what
I
my
don't.
book club member did, but I won't tell it
But it's
unless
on the
you
back
want to.
cover. But so many people have said, well, I didn't read the back cover, and I'm so glad I didn't because that was like a whoa. So I won't say what it is either,
And
but it is a
I won't
whoa.
spill the beans. So
So
now
it's
that
a lot.
something like that, well, in Ohio several years ago, I think it was two girls that had been
No,
kidnapped. Was
it
it
was
more
like
than two?
three or four girls. Yeah, it
Was it
was in
all at the same
Cleveland.
house though?
They were in the
Okay.
basement.
Yeah. And they were tied up. And I think two of them,
Hmm.
I think more than one or two gave birth
Yeah.
during that time while they were locked up.
They were. I actually read some of their stories when I was working on this book to kind of see, life for them when they were released because they were locked up for 10 years. So to see how, they were able to kind of get back into society and with their families. And what I did find is there were none of them did the same, none of them took the same path. Some of them wanted to just still be confined because they were afraid to go out. And you had
Mhm.
one who didn't want to be confined anymore. She was done. All she wanted to do was be out. So, when thinking about Nova's story, I was thinking, okay, well, there really is no right or wrong way to write her recovery. I just knew that it couldn't be linear. I knew that it was going to be ups and downs, and I knew she was
Mhm.
going to have her traumatic, moments, even while she was home. She would have withdrawals and all of the things that we go through when we're recovering from something like, well, she go through when she was recovering from something like that. So it
Mhm.
was harder because there was really nothing for me to draw on, personally, thankfully.
Yeah,
So I
thank
did
you.
have to do a lot of research for that one.
So, what was your impetus for writing the story? Like, what made you say, you know what, I'm gonna write a book about some people who are tied up, and then they uh, got loose, and what happened? What made you? What was the moment when you said, "That's what I'm gonna write about"?
This is the story. So the story actually, well, a piece of the story actually came to me in 1990. I was 13. That's when my mom passed from cancer. And at that point, I was thinking maybe my mom is still alive. Maybe because we weren't there when she passed, maybe the doctor took her. So just
Sure.
thinking of this story of a what if she really is still alive? Now
Oh,
that part of the story, and I think thinking back, it's just I needed something to hold on to. I needed a what if that, it wasn't final. But even as I grew and aged and special moments, like when I got married, when I had my first child, things like that, when we, think about the person who we wish were there with us, that's when that story would come back to me because it was like, man, if my mama came back now, she wouldn't even know me, she wouldn't know, and when electronics changed, just everything that changed, I thought about my mama coming back. And
oh,
so the
okay.
story stayed with me all those years. And it wasn't until my dad got married that the second part came. Because I was talking with another lady and she was like, everyone knows that your mom and dad were soulmates. That's just,
Uh-huh.
if your mom hadn't passed, they would have still been married. So then it was like, well, he remarried now. So if she did come back, what happens
Oh, okay.
then?
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to dig into it. I'm trying to decide if I want to, because I really like to read the books close to the book club meeting.
Mhm.
But then I don't want to get busy and then not finish it.
Right.
So I'm finishing up another book. I'm trying to decide, am I going to read another book and then start your book, or start your book and make sure I finish it. So it's either going to be next or the next one after that when I
You
start
want to wait as close to it
to
as
the
you can
meeting.
because what
Right.
I've been hearing from readers is I just need someone to talk to this about. I need
Okay.
someone to discuss. The last book club meeting I had Sunday, only one person had finished it. Everyone else was almost finished. So she couldn't talk to them. And she was like,
Okay.
I've been waiting for so long to talk.
Yeah, that
So
happens
yeah.
in book clubs sometimes. Not everybody finishes the book. And
Right.
uh and sometimes you know, people are like it'll be multiple people that says, you know what, I just had to quit reading. Not
Mhm.
your book, of course, but just other books. Like somebody
Right.
else will, kind of torture themselves to finish. And
Right.
I'm not one of those people that will read a book. If it's not keeping me interested past about
I'm
page
sorry.
about
A book has to
50.
be super, super, super bad for me to stop reading it.
See, that's not
Really?
me.
I want to see. I'm because I just have good feelings. I'm like, maybe it'll be better in the end. I want to see how it's gonna turn out. And so I'll keep reading. It's hard for me to stop reading unless the book is just that bad. And it
I
has to really be bad for me to stop.
oh
It has
I
to
I have
capture
no.
my attention. It has to keep
It
me
has to keep me.
engaged.
Now,
If
it
not,
might
I'm gonna
take
move
me
on to
long.
something else.
Now, it might take me longer to finish reading. I have a couple of
Yeah,
books that it's been taking me a while. I'm going to finish them, but it's been taking me a
eventually.
while to finish them.
See, my philosophy is with all the books on my to be read shelves, my
Hmm.
bookcase that's to be read. I
She
don't
said
have
life is
time
too short to be
to
reading
wait.
a
Yes,
bad
life
book.
is too short to read a bad book. I might post that on Facebook tonight. Life is too short to waste it reading a bad book.
That's true. That is true.
But I can relate to people. We have some people in our book club that say they have to finish if they start. It's just not, that's not where I am with it. I don't think
I'm
I've
not one
ever
of
been
those
like
readers.
that. I will stop reading a book if it's not.
Hmm.
I've never been like, oh, I have to finish. No, never, never. And I've been reading since I was 4. So I don't, it needs to capture my attention because, time is
Yeah,
valuable. So
exactly.
that's interesting how you came up with the topic, that it wasn't really related to like news events. It was
Right.
more related because that's what I was thinking, that it was like straight from the pages of headlines,
No,
and it's from your own personal experience.
it's from
That's
my own
good.
personal experience. And the thing too is when they asked me about writing the book under Lorna Lewis, I did not hesitate because that was my mom's name. My mom's name was
Oh,
Lorna Lewis. I mean,
Oh,
well, my mom's name was Lorna
Lorna.
Cyprian,
Uh-huh.
but she her maiden name was Lewis, and I married
Oh,
a Lewis.
oh,
So,
oh, her maiden name was Lewis, and you married a
yeah,
Lewis?
yes,
that's
Wow.
pretty cool.
yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. My husband's sister, that is Richardson. My husband's Richardson.
Okay. Oh,
She
okay.
married a Richardson. So she never had to change her name.
Never had to
And
change the name. Same
they stayed
license. That's
married till
easy.
he died. She said they were married for like 50 years. She got married at 15.
Oh,
It's in the
wow.
she is in the rural area, you know.
Hmm.
And he was older. He wasn't 15. He was like maybe 20.
He wasn't 15.
No, he was more like 20. But they
Oh,
stayed
wow.
married 50 years till he died.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah. So now was this the one book? Uh is this a standalone one book? Did you get
Hmm.
a 2-book deal?
It's
It's not going to
it's
be
a
a sequel or
standalone.
anything.
Nope.
This is okay. The story starts and ends with a sky full of love. Now, why did you
Yes.
call it a sky full of love? Is that like a line from the story? That
No, I did not. I didn't.
okay,
It was
okay,
it was the name that the publishing company chose.
okay.
And I did kind of push back on it a little because to me it did give off, romance, flowery, a sky full of love, And then because I know romance readers are very listen,
Mhm.
they are
They're serious.
very serious readers,
They're
and they
serious
if they
about
think it's
romance.
romance, they want it to be romance. They
Yeah,
want the
that's
the main
true.
character to meet at the beginning and have they happily ever after at the end.
Yeah.
And then they pick up this book, and this woman is captured, and it's no love in the beginning of this book. So I was like, well, I don't want them mad with me. So they felt like, it still fit the theme of the story, which I was kind of hesitant on until I thought about a moment in the story where Nova, who's the main character, while she was still locked up, she said that during her lowest moments, she would look up at the sky and realize that that's the only connection she had with her family. Because no matter where they were looking at the same sky, they were looking at the same moon, they were looking at the same stars, and that's all she had. So, and ironically, because it wasn't planned, her daughter name was Sky. That was not
Mhm.
planned, but that's how it worked out.
Oh, okay.
So a sky full of love then made sense to me because that was because the whole story to me is about family and reuniting and forgiveness if you can get to that point, and moving forward.
Okay.
I
Now,
like the title.
did they decide not to put people on here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They wanted it to have a
So that
crossover.
was an intentional decision.
Well, I'm not really sure if it was intentional not to use people. I think it was just because of the title and it's based in Louisiana. They just felt like, I'm thinking they felt like the Bayou look and the
Okay.
town is called Bayou.
Okay.
I
Yeah, it
just
is
felt
a
like it was,
swampy. It's that swampy. The moss, the trees with the moss on them.
hmm
Like in
yes,
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Now, is
Yes,
that where you're from?
I am.
She's from Baton
Okay.
Rouge.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
in Baton Rouge.
Okay. Now,
So
how did you
all of my
know? How
stories
did
are
you know
based in
around?
Louisiana.
from her interview form, or do you know
I'm
her?
sorry.
How did
We
you
know
know
each
she was
other
from
from
Baton Rouge?
Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we know each other from Facebook, but we've been knowing each other for so long.
So
It's hard to
long.
believe
Oh, okay.
we've really only seen each other in person one time.
Hmm.
Okay. I didn't know you all knew each other.
That's it.
I mean, I think we're probably connected on Facebook, but I don't know if we've interacted much.
Right. Yes. Facebook is a wonderful connection.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a good place to connect with like-minded people. You just have to
Definitely.
pick and
Like-minded is
choose.
the key.
Yeah,
Like-minded, whack-minded, crazy-minded.
yeah. You have to watch out for that algorithm because it
Oh
can
yeah.
it can lead you down a rabbit hole and you can't get out. So,
Most definitely.
okay.
Yes.
Lydia wants to know: was it hard to write the story that you wrote?
Um, it was challenging. It was because, like I said, just trying to get her story just right, just trying to get her recovery right, her reaction to things right, and also her family members. How would they react to her coming back? Of course they're happy, but trying to figure out, what would be the right thing for them to say in this moment. Would they leave her alone? Would they, try to get her to open
Right.
up? Things like that that I was kind of torn on. Wasn't really sure, the right thing to do. But like I said, I don't think there was a right. Once I got it in my head that there was no right or wrong way to write her recovery, as long as it
Okay.
didn't feel too easy, because it did. We know it wouldn't have been
Wouldn't-
easy.
Right. So they assumed she had died.
Oh yeah, she was declared dead. She was
Okay.
declared legally dead.
Wow. Yeah, that would be
Mm.
something if you thought someone died and then you kind of moved on. Not that you forgot about them, but you just moved
Right. You
on.
moved. It had been 15 years.
And
That's a
then they
long time.
re-enter, they just like pop up. And I know you can't, I don't want you to give away any spoilers, but how did well, how did
And
they
see, that's the
find out
thing. It's
she's
really not
alive?
even a spoiler because in on the back of the book,
Oh,
it's
okay.
in
All
the
right.
blurb.
Well, how did they find out that she's alive?
His niece and nephew found her. The guy who
Oh,
locked her up, his niece and nephew found her.
Oh,
oh,
wow.
okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, it sounds like something interesting for me to get into. So, are you working on a book after this,
I'm
or
working on a book right now. I'm in editing right now. So
okay,
I with another book with Lake Union is The View from Upstairs,
okay?
which is another almost kind of sort of locked up book, but not quite.
So they
So
in the basement in that one too.
no, they're in the attic.
Oh, okay.
But the difference is she is right next door. So
Oh,
she can still see her family. They just can't see her. So
oh.
it's one of those situations like, it's like they're right there, but you can't get to them.
So is this your lane, like the person who a
Locked up.
person's disappeared, and kind of like Jason Statham, or how you pronounce his name? Every movie he's in is the same movie, but they're all good. Every movie he is an agreed person that's seeking a loved one or somebody close to him got murdered and he's seeking revenge. He's really good at it. He's really
Right.
good at it. So I watch, that's what I know. I watch them all. If I see he's in it. Now I tried
Go
to
watch
watch
it.
Crank, but I couldn't follow. That was just too much. It was too much going on in that. But Liam Neeson is like
It
that too.
is. I think it just so happens that those are the two that they were most interested in. Because like I said, I just like putting women in unimaginable situations. Like the short story I wrote, Torn, which I wrote under L.A. Lewis, that was about a daughter, and both her parents needed a kidney. And she was the only match. So it becomes the thing of, and
Oh,
time is running out.
I heard
So
about that book. So okay,
yeah,
I
so
heard about that storyline.
So they
I
weren't
forgot
locked
I
up,
heard
but it was
about
just
it.
an unimaginable situation, you know.
Okay, so that storyline for that book did get around. I never got a
Mhm.
chance to read it, but I heard about it from
Right,
more than one or two people.
right.
It was called Torn, so it was a novella. It's a short story.
It's a novella, Torn. Yes.
Okay, okay, I'll have to check it out. So, how many books do you have under L.A. Lewis?
I have 3 novels and like 3 novellas, I believe.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So, how do you like? We ask authors this when they've been self-published and then they are traditionally published.
Mhm.
How do you like the new world that you're in?
Um, I like it. I do. I love this. I love it because of the exposure,
Mm-hmm.
because of I know the book has a lot to do with the 11,000 views of the 11,000 reviews, but I also think it was the marketing that Lake Union does with the book, because they're constantly sending me what they're about to do next, what's this marketing
Right.
plan, this promotion plan, so they're really putting it out. And then people, I have no idea who these people are, but every now and then it'll pop up where they received the package and my book was in the package. So I know that they're really, really pushing the book. So that part about it, I really, really, I love. And even the
So how
name
did
thing and
you?
go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to ask, how did you decide on this particular publisher?
Well, we shopped it around. So,
Okay.
Michelle is my agent. So Michelle shopped it around, and Lake Union was the publisher who was really, really interested. Like when she read it, Mega is the senior editor. When she read it, she was just like, "Oh, I'm all in." So, and when we talked, we had similar ideas and energy. So I really liked working with her. So when they offered me another deal for the next book, I was like, oh, yeah, of course. And I'm working with the same editor who edited this story. And I felt like the story was good, but of course, a good editor makes it just takes
Even
it to the
better.
next
Right.
level.
Takes it to a
And I
whole
feel
different
like,
level.
yes. And even
Mhm.
with the edits I just received last week, like the things that she was saying, I was like, man, I didn't even thought about that. So, I love working with my editor.
Well, that's
That's
So
great.
yes.
awesome.
This is really great.
Yes.
I'm happy for you that you, um, you know, passed like a Rubicon. That's 11,000 reviews. That is a lot of reviews.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
A lot of multi-published authors never get close to that number. Um,
Yeah, that is crazy. And I'm
and it's
and I'm
since
happy for you.
June. Since June.
June, yep,
The
June
book came
1st.
out in June, and she's got that many reviews already. So that
Yes.
is flat out amazing. Well,
Yes.
Mhm.
I can't wait to get into it myself.
I can't wait
Uh,
to hear what you think. You're
okay,
gonna
well,
have to look, you definitely have to email me, inbox me, do something.
I'll give you feedback if I really like it, and if not, if you don't hear from me, that means I didn't like it that much. So that way,
Well,
it's
Well,
what
you
not
know
if you
what?
just
personal.
She,
forget? Then I'm gonna
look,
think you just didn't like
Lorna,
it.
Lorna, she ain't never told me what she thought of any of my books, so she must not have liked any of them. So
If I read it and I don't like it, I don't say anything because
You
my
know,
mama told me if
no,
you can't say
hence
anything
what I just
nice,
said.
look,
don't say anything at all.
Hence what I just said.
she is driving that point home.
She
Okay,
is, she is,
I'm
and
talking
it's
about
not
you.
true.
You
I
driving the
want
point
it known it's not true. So let me say, public, that's not true.
when the show's over, Rhonda, she gonna call you, tell you how much she
No,
loves.
no, I'm transparent. If I say something on here, it's factual.
That's
And I'm nice to
good.
everyone, but if I don't like a book, I don't like it. It's just like, your book is like your friend, because you spend a lot of time reading. You spend
Yeah,
Mhm.
hours
definitely.
with this friend, hours that you don't get to spend with your actual friends. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yes.
So, when I spend time, even though I will put it down, that's why I say I'll put it down if it's not grabbing me, because, it's time. And the time that I spend with a book is precious time to me. I love reading. That's my number one hobby. That and
Mm-hmm.
listening to music, those are the two. And That's what I love to do. So,
I
Lorna,
get it.
congratulations on. I
Thank
just
you
think it's
so
amazing
much.
that you were able to. Oh, I wanted to ask one more question. It's 8 o'clock. But have you done any of like the national shows, like a Good Morning America or
No,
any of those?
not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I said, don't just say no. Say
Yeah.
not
Not
yet.
yet.
Put it out there.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
still
Well,
waiting on them to call me. They'll be calling.
yeah, they will. I'm sure they will. So thanks so much for being a guest on the show. Congratulations
Thank
on the
you,
success
ladies. I
of your
appreciate
book.
your time. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Great seeing
Oh,
you.
You too.
all right. Have a
Bye.
good night.
You too.
Okay. We're moving right along to our next guest. And she's been on the show before, but it's been, I think, 3 years. I went back and checked the calendar, the scheduling.
I can't believe time flies the way it
I
does.
know it does. And I think her name is pronounced Kreceda, but she'll tell us. But she is the acquisitions editor for Black Odyssey Media, and she was on the show when they first launched the imprint. And so we wanted to have her back to just talk about the progress and how things are going. And you survived being the acquisitions editor, not, when people get new positions, sometimes you look up and somebody else is doing that job, but you're still in the position that you started off in. Congratulations on that. And Black Odyssey is doing some great things. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be back. Yes, I survived. I survived. But it's great to be a part. Actually, look, I actually even got a slight look promotion to director of acquisition, so I'm excited about that. But
Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
thank
congratulations.
you,
So
thank you so
what does
much.
the director do versus the editor?
Still does the same things, but just more hands-on involvement with the actual acquisitions of it, like overseeing, going out and actually pursuing talent and, trying to coax those authors on over here to Black Odyssey.
Oh, okay. So you're looking for talent like someone with like a record label or whatever they call them now.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Like a record label, I probably have to put you on a 360 deal.
Okay. So I have authors asking all the time about what publishers are looking for. And so my first question is, does an author have to have an agent to present their work to Black Odyssey?
No, they do not have to have an agent. There is a time frame that we review those submissions. However, we have a allotted set of months that we'll accept both agented and non-agented. So it gives us time. Of course, we get a high influx from agents, but it gives us time to devote to the authors who are submitting, so they're not just kind of waiting on the back burner, and they also know upfront, like this is the time frame that we're doing it. So they're not submitting it in the off season as well.
Okay, so you have certain times, a certain period in the year when you will review and consider indie authors
Yes.
or new authors
Yes.
without an agent.
Without an agent, yes.
Okay, well that's good because lot of the big publishers you have to have an agent for the
Yes.
Right.
most part. Mhm.
A lot of them do. And that's one of the things that I do, love about Black Odyssey. I think that there's a lot of talent out here, and a lot of times they're not represented. They want to go at it on their own, or they just haven't found the right fit. And I don't think that that should be something that hinders them. So and having with Shawanda been an author, herself and myself, we understand those hurdles. So I think that's where we come in. with the difference of a lot of things. We've been on both sides of the fence. And so we understand that there are challenges there. And because of that, we're able to maneuver around certain things and provide opportunities that other people may not be able to. So,
I mean, I think it's hard for an author without representation to find a good publisher. So the fact that you offer those opportunities is really big for a lot of authors. But with that being said, though, do you find that you, to put this nicely, do you find that you have to work a little bit harder when it comes to some unrepresented manuscripts?
you do, and that's because that's the learning curve of it, right?
Right.
Because when you don't have an agent, you don't have someone that's there to guide your career, so to speak, you know, and you don't always know what's the appropriate things to do and you know how you should handle situations. So we end up having to teach a little bit, you know, and that's okay
Right.
too. You know, but of course we prefer, you know, if you go out and you do a little research. I love the people who do the research. They know, you know, that you can tell, like they ask certain questions, and I was like, okay, you know, but and that helps. That helps us. But
Hmm.
you know, we understand that there's also that learning curve there for authors who just have not had that guidance. But it's also for us an opportunity, which is another wonderful thing to teach someone else. And I think that is something that you're definitely not going to get, you know, with a big publisher is that, okay, we do have an opportunity here where we can kind of show you this side of the business in a way that you definitely won't get from another publisher.
Right, right.
Mhm. Now, you know, a lot of people say that having a company with a black woman as the head and then black people managing under her, that there would be conflicts and cat fights and this, you know, mayhem. So that's how has your experience been working with Entice? Well, I always call her Entice, even though her real name is Shawanda. But I met her as Entice, and that's how I address her all the time.
No, I get it. I get it. No, I understand. Look, we fall into that too. I have to reel myself in a lot with it, but uh, you know, it helps sometimes that on emails I'm like, okay, let me address her by her, you know, real name. That way it can kind of
Right.
stick. When I'm sending out correspondence, I'm not saying entire. But no, you know, you with everything you have creative differences, but it's not, you know, I think respect is one thing that people have to learn to have for each other. We respect each
Yeah.
other's opinions. She's definitely one that always asks, you know, and we discuss things, you know, and it's okay and I think what people have to understand is that it is okay to disagree. You can disagree without, you know, cat
Yeah, it's the way
fighting.
you disagree that
Right.
makes the difference.
Mhm.
Right. It's the way you disagree that makes a big difference. And it's one of those things where it's okay, you know, well, if you see it this way and I see it this way, then, you know, we come up with a mutual decision on what we should do. Or, you know, she'll say, well, I think I want to go this direction and I'm okay with that, you know, and I think that's the whole team across the board, you know, but what it comes down to is that we all know that we're very passionate about what we're doing. And because of that,
Right.
we give each other grace a lot because we know how much this means, not just for us, but we're carrying, you know, a lot on our backs. We're running with the torch that was started from us from other publishers like Zane and Carl Weber, and now, you know, elevating this platform. We're trying to carry, you know, another torch, and we got a lot on our back, and so it's not just about us. And as long as we keep that vision that there's a bigger reason, I think that's what really helps because all of us truly love Black Odyssey, the company, and what it represents and what it means for so many other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's mutual respect is number one when you're working with people.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, our group, well, for one, me and Rhonda have never had an argument. and we've had this show for 5 years. Now, it doesn't mean we agree all the time,
Yeah,
because
there's
sometimes
times
we
that we
don't.
disagree, but the thing is,
But we,
I respect her opinion and she respects my opinion, and I think that's what
Abs-
makes it work.
yeah, and we really
Absolutely.
compliment each other because our personalities are, somewhat different.
It's
So,
so crazy.
Brian W. Smith, when we saw him at the book National Book Club conference, said we were like peanut butter and jelly, and so I don't know what that means exactly. Mutual respect, and then the team that works at the book festival every year, and we get together throughout the year doing things, but there's just not only respect but admiration,
Right.
for
Absolutely.
everybody has their own set of skills and gifts, and it's
Exactly.
really just mutual respect and admiration.
Exactly. And it's good when you work with somebody who you know each other to a point, you know their strengths and you know their weaknesses. And that way you can play off of
Mhm.
each other. And that's another thing that we're really good about. We joke all the time because she and I are both fire signs. So we're kind of a lot alike in a lot of
Okay.
ways. We're a lot alike in a lot of ways. But there are certain things that of course a little different that she had how she handles things and me too, and so we will bounce off of each other in that way and say, hey, can you handle this, because I think you're a little bit better with dealing with this than I am. And I'm like, okay, but we know that. And I think that's another thing too. You have to have a good working relationship with people, especially when you're in a small group.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
pays to really know each other.
Yeah, that's true. And our birthdays are 9 days apart.
Oh
Me and
Yeah,
Rhonda.
that's the
wow.
really cool thing. We do our birthday show together.
Yeah, we do our birthday
Oh,
show in the middle, like between the birthdays. We do our birthday show when we wear our crowns. And so, but I'm a Gemini and she's a Cancer. So, our personalities are a little bit different. But it works. It
it
works.
works. It works. And we joke about that all the time. She's a Sagittarius, I'm an Aries. So, we joke about that. And then what's so funny is that even within our households, like our husbands, our kids are all kind of like fire signs or have birthdays close
Mm.
to each other. So it's really kind of serendipitous. I think I was like, oh my goodness, how did this work out?
It's true. Well, I don't live by those, you know, but there are similarities in personalities. It's just,
Yes.
and there's some personalities I get along with, and there's some that I bump heads with. And
Right.
that just tends to be a pattern. I look at patterns and trends, and that's with everything, not just that. Patterns and trends are the best way to determine the future,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
patterns and trends are consistent generally in a lot of ways. People's actions. If a person, for example, if a person is dishonest, if they
Yeah.
lie to you about one thing, they're gonna lie to you about something
That's
else.
something else.
And I
Well,
can't stand a liar. If you lie to me, that's it. We're through. We're done.
Yeah.
Because I can't trust you if you
And
don't.
when people,
The truth, I can handle the truth. And then
yeah,
we can come up with the solution together. But when you lie, then.
yeah, and like this old saying says, believe a person when they show you who they are the first
Yeah,
time.
yes,
right,
yes,
right.
yes, that is so true. So for people out there who are writers and authors, they have this manuscript they've been dutifully working on for 10 years, and they want to send it in to Black Odyssey. What is your process?
Going to always tell them to visit the Black Odyssey website first, because we have a submission tab there that will tell you all of the guidelines that you need of how to submit it. We prefer you read that first, because you don't want your manuscript to do all of that hard work for all of those 10 years and then it's rejected because you didn't submit it the correct way. So the
Right,
truly the
right.
process is first read the submission guidelines because we have certain, about formatting and the way that we accept the actual manuscript. What we're looking for, the time frames of when we're accepting. So if they visit Black Odyssey, blackodyssey.net and go to the submissions tab, it will outline that for you. And we also have even a guide to help you when it comes to actually formatting your work. So you'll know just like, okay, we required 12-point font, and we require, it has to be, because sometimes people don't know. Like, honestly, those are things that sometimes people just don't know that it has to be indented. It has to be a certain. Yeah, a certain size. Like sometimes
Okay.
people don't know they will submit, block formatting for their work. Just
Oh,
even those
Right.
simple things, like that's just a quick, go in
Well,
and
the
adjust your
thing is that
status.
even if it's not industry standard, which it is, but even if it's not industry standard, if it's your standard and they're still trying to turn it in the way they want to turn it in, then that shows how they're going to be when you're trying to work with them.
And that's look, say it again, because that is the thing that they have to understand, and that's just not even with us, that's across the board. If you
Right.
submit something and you're not paying attention to what the standards are, what the rules and the regulations are, and you kind of just bypass that, they look at that as a reflection of, okay, is this going to be an uphill battle with this person? Because if I need you to pay attention to what this contract says or what this due date is, we need you to
Right.
pay attention to those things and, honor them. So that is really the first step in that, is making sure you follow
Mm-hmm.
directions.
yeah, reading is
Mm-hmm.
fundamental. And
Yes.
sometimes authors are remiss in doing that. We run
Yes.
into that at the festival where I meticulously detail bullet points about everything that you need to know. And I send it out 3 times, marked, please read carefully. And they don't read it. And then they get there, they don't do what they're supposed to. And then
Right.
they'll tell you, oh well, I didn't read it. Well, okay, why are you telling me that?
And it's your fault that they didn't read it.
Yeah, or okay, well then you can't have whatever. You missed it. You missed out on all the opportunities that we told you about because you didn't read the email. But some people think the rules don't apply to them. It's just, that's something that I run into. And I know you run into it too with having
Yeah.
people submit work because they
Yeah.
just, they might be so excited about their book that they don't realize you still need to have it presented a certain way.
Exactly. Presentation matters.
Yes.
That is truly the first step. But because one of the things that, you have to, it's just like with anything else, it's an opportunity. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to miss out on your opportunity simply because, I just didn't follow the directions. I just didn't read, or I didn't feel like reading it. That was the case or
And
whatever.
that's the big one. I've had somebody tell me, well, you you sent a lot of information and I couldn't go through all of that. So I think what you should do is you should send more than one email. I'm like, oh, so I got to do more work because you don't feel like reading.
I send it out 3 times, Rhonda. They still don't read it. So some people just won't do what they're supposed to do. And I've had people call me, and this is what I do. They call me and ask me a question I've already sent them every detail about. So I say, well, it's in the email that I sent you. Well, why can't you just tell me? Because I put it in the email. I'm not
And because
gonna sit
I'm
here and
busy.
read what you should have read yourself. I mean, it's
I'm busy.
and that's a
So,
fact. So,
so meticulous. Like I will get something and read it, and I'll reread it like a trillion times. And when I get wherever I'm going, like you said at an event, I get to an event. I'm like, I'm reading, because I don't want. I said maybe I'm a different kind of person, but I read so much because I don't want to miss out on something or miss information. And then,
Right.
or I read it because I want to make sure that I understand it myself, because I know I'm just like, I have a question I'm going to ask, but I at least will know ahead of time, because you'll get it. Like you said, okay, well, she had to read this because this is why she's asking this question, you know? So
Right.
and I think that's the thing. And I think it's also, that's another, level of just respecting the process too. That is a part of it.
That's
Those are
true.
the key factors that people look for. You're going to respect the process, because if you don't respect the process, then will you respect the next step in the process?
Right.
Or the next step, those
Yeah.
type of things prove to be difficulties along the way. And so it's very important at the very start. Take it serious enough, to where you are doing what's asked, and it's not that we're just putting you through the ringer to put you through the ringer. This streamlines our process for us as well. Because, we, even if we were, this big conglomerate, typically there's only a few people in the department that are looking at certain things. And so it's like 1,000 of you and two or
Yeah.
three people. So, you don't want to miss out. And I'm not just, that's just not for Black Odyssey. That's for anybody who you submit to. You don't want to miss out on your opportunity, possibly over something so simple.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
See, here's my motto or mantra. If they for our event, because I work on it a whole year. I'm already working on 2026. That's that's how long the window is of work. And if somebody's a problem before the event, they're gonna be a problem at the event.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You
you
know.
just hope that it gets changed around. But and that's even with publishers, we work a year and a half in advance. So,
Right.
we're talking about 2027, it's still
Right.
2025. So we're moving, and that lets you know just how much that we're working and we're doing. And so those simple things, of
Right.
just paying attention and, making sure that you're reading and making sure that you're getting an understanding and doing your part. Those are the things that are really going to make a difference, regardless of who you submit your work to.
Right.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Now, are you all having a challenge with people submitting books using AI content using AI?
We
Yeah.
have AI is a challenge. We have run into it. We, are able to recognize it right away almost, because we have, so with AI now, even with that, it's a certain feel, a sound, a tone to it, and so we're able
Right.
to pick up on those cues now. And I do realize that sometimes people use it, to help them edit or to revise certain things, or those type of things. But not to fully submit something that's completely 100%,
See,
AI
and
written,
that is my thing. I don't have a problem with AI. I use AI to assist my process as well. But if you are putting something into Chat GPT and then lifting the entire thing without putting any human touch to it, without doing any editing, without putting any thought into it, then that's not writing your book.
No, that's not. That's AI, and we still 100% want to support and uplift authentic voices and storytelling. That is, that's a part of our craft, and you have to safeguard that in that way, because if you don't, then it'll go off the reins. I mean, we see so much of what's going on, with AI. We know that there are certain companies that have lawsuits now for submitting power rating work, to train AI. So you want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you are an authentic storyteller, because we want to hear your voice,
Right.
and you should want the world to hear your voice. Um, we want you to, be passionate about the craft. I'm one that has always been me. I've always been craft first, above, making money, because it's, book money can prosper, but it is slow money for many people. So you have to have a level of dedication to it. And I always say study it, and those are things that do scare me. I don't want us to get away from that, from creatives to get away from the actual art of the thing. So I encourage it, but yeah, we definitely support, authentic storytelling. But of course, like I said, helping to edit. I mean, because you do have things like, even though Grammarly isn't like, completely, but there is a touch of AI even in that, because it's
Yep.
Yeah.
helping you, to edit your work. So those type of things are, we get it. You need that. Everybody doesn't have, a couple grand sitting here to go pay the editor right now, up front. But if you want to do a preliminary edit and you want to use systems like Grammarly, that's okay. But not to write, like you say, lift an entire story from Chat GPT and say, this is my book.
Yeah,
And
some people
ChatGPT
aren't.
write like I can write,
Right.
I was that.
Well, some people aren't even thinking about craft or anything. They're trying to make a quick buck. They think, okay, I
Well,
can
that's
get
true.
a
That
quick
is true.
book out and make money on it. And, so
Exactly.
a lot of people aren't thinking that way. They're
And
thinking quick money.
And the sad part about it is, even if you do that, that's not even a guarantee that you're gonna make quick money.
Exactly. If you have a crappy book, people aren't going to buy it. If your book is based on Chat GPT, that means it's not original. And
Exactly.
people are looking for original stories. They're not
They
looking for the
are.
same. Somebody else's work is really what you're putting together, because
Exactly.
it just amasses what's already out there. So now, in our final few minutes, tell us what kinds of books you all are looking for and publish, like what particular genres or
Mhm.
storylines or whatever. What, for
Yeah.
somebody out there who's, because I actually referred somebody to you. I don't know if she contacted you yet.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Well, I will be on the lookout, but we definitely, of course, we love a good romance. So we
Okay.
love we love a good
Okay.
romance, contemporary urban romance,
Okay.
women's fiction. We are definitely looking, if you romantic suspense, um, mysteries, thrillers, psychological thrillers, especially. We really love those. So those are pretty much where we're at now with what we are really, those are the crux of the things that we do get. And those are the things that we really hone on, but now we have some other areas, that we are looking for, like literary fiction. We will definitely set the, just we're looking for story, and that is the biggest thing. Is like we look for the writing, we look for the story. So,
I like
but
that.
we do, like I said, we all have our own personal favorites, and they know that I'm like the romance holiday girly.
See,
So,
that's big. I'm working on a holiday romance right now myself. So that's getting really popular.
yes, holiday romance. Oh my goodness. And I'm so proud of, we put out 3 holiday romance last year, and they did such a phenomenal job with those. And
Right.
we, it was a chance that we took, because of course those have a certain amount of shelf life.
Right.
So we were like, okay, well, let's take a chance. But they did such a phenomenal job. They wrote such amazing, beautiful holiday romancy, or as I say, Christmassy stories. It really, they stepped up to that challenge, and they did a phenomenal job. And those stories did very, very well for the holiday season. So I was so proud.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've read a couple of, but the thriller, the mystery thrillers. I read,
Yes.
Yeah.
and I
Well,
bought some other ones, but I haven't read them. But I read actually the 2 books by Brian Copeland.
Yes. Oh,
I
those
read
stories
both of
are great.
those.
I'm so proud of all. He did such a phenomenal job on his stories. Those thrillers are amazing. Brian Copeland, he's a gem.
Well, we're running very short on time, but I wanted to take this last minute to ask you, what do we need to be watching out for? We're going into the last quarter of the year. What do we need to watch out for?
Oh my goodness. So we definitely have books that are coming out from Brienne Denay. We have Jaquel J, who is very popular right now. She's coming out with her book coming up soon called Rich and Rotten. Casey Mills will have the second part of her book, You Can Do Damage Too, is releasing. Ari Sky has a book releasing top of the year. Robbie Renee's book just released last month, which is Summer's Echo. It's just a beautiful love story. So we have some great stories, and that's a mix of urban romance, psychological thriller, romantic suspense, and contemporary romance right there. So
All right, y'all are ready.
And
yes.
your covers are very nice. I don't know who does
Thank you
them,
so
but your
much.
covers are very nice.
We take pride in our covers, and we really try to get to the thick of in the heart of what the story is about. Picking the direction, getting some feedback from the authors, because we of course want them to be happy with their covers as well too. But we take such great care with each individual book. We don't want it a cookie cutter type of format. We want it to speak to the book, speak to the author. And so that is something that we really pride ourselves on. So I'm so glad you said that. Thank you.
It's very nice. Because I go to your website and check, periodically, like maybe once a quarter, to see what's new coming out, so I can put it on the schedule of people coming out with books. So I have your 2026 roster already listed to reach out.
Hey.
Okay, well, thanks for being back on the show. It's been a while, but we really appreciate you being on and giving us an update about Black Odyssey. And say hey to Entice for me.
I surely will. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you. You have a great night. Keep doing what you're doing.
You too. Thank you so much.
Okay, so that was Kreceda Tyler. And Rhonda, I'm so glad I'm feeling myself now, because that was a little kind of disconcerting, like right as the show was about to start.
Well, you can't be Superwoman all the time.
I know.
Sometimes you have to allow yourself to get some rest, or let whatever it is that ails you, you got to let it pass.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to be, but sometimes circumstances demand it. So anyway, our final guest is no stranger to Black Authors Matter TV, nor are her authors strangers to the show. And we really have known Shenitha Burton pretty much since we started the show. I'm trying to see like we kind of met right when the show started. So anyway, Shenitha Burton with She Publishing LLC is going to give us an update on
Shenitha's been busy.
Yeah.
She just had an amazing event a couple nights ago. And did you see the dress? Gwen, did you see the dress? Did you see the dress?
No, I have to go and look. I didn't see I need to go look.
That dress,
Instagram or Facebook or both?
Both. But that dress was everything.
Thank you.
It was a ball gown, but it had all of the She Publishing book covers on it.
Oh wow. Okay. I definitely as soon as we are done, I'm gonna go look at it, because I didn't see that. That didn't come across my news feed. So
and the corset was my book, From Projects to Publisher.
That is so amazing.
Wow.
The back and the front of the book.
All right. Now we've got to shout out the designer who did that for you.
Absolutely. That is Essie Bonnie Couture. She is our book dress designer for 2024, 2025, and beyond. So she
Mhm.
has just, I mean, amazing. And that night
Wow.
of the gala is the night that I saw the dress for the very first time.
Really?
Oh,
So
The
you
night
haven't seen
before
it at
I put it
all?
on.
Oh, wow. Well, she did that.
okay.
Congratulations to
Let me
her.
go look.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
So tell us about your gala first. What is it about? What do you do there? And who all attends and all that?
Yeah. Well, I miss you guys. I am so glad to be back on Black Authors Matter. I miss Rhonda so much. You know, I haven't
I
had an
miss you
opportunity to
too.
talk to her. I know you got stuff going on and stuff like that. But yeah, so we have our galas so that we can bring all of the authors on our roster together so that they can meet each other, inspire each other, do make some collaborations. We also bring people out. We had an Emmy nominated film producer there. We had the deputy Illinois Attorney General there. So we try to bring people there to put them in front of other people's platforms. And so it is just an amazing event. It's a whole weekend. So it started with the meet and greet, which was Friday, September 19th. And at the meet and greet, they had the opportunity to vend. They did 1 to 2 minute pitches. We had a book cover contest. The person who won that, they got a free book cover for their next book. And then obviously
Right.
the gala is where we do the awards and the dinner and the DJ battle and all that other good stuff. And the boots on the ground. You know, we gotta have that, y'all. And you gotta have your fans now, okay? Come
Not,
on now.
not a She Publishing fan.
Oh
Okay.
yes, yes.
So it's a formal, your gala's a formal.
It's a black tie event. Yep.
Oh, okay. Wow. Where did you have it? Do you
We
have it at a
had it.
hotel or do you have it like at a museum or
Yeah, so we had it
convention?
we had our meet and greet at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel. It's in Downers Grove, Illinois. And then we had the actual gala at a location called Lakes at Lacey's. It's actually a corporate building that has space that you can use. It has a piano lounge and then
Oh,
it has
okay.
a conservatory that are connected together.
Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty.
And
wow.
so we did the red carpet through the connection of both of the rooms. And then we ate dinner in the conservatory and we did the awards in the piano lounge.
Oh, wow. How many
Oh, that
people
sounds
were
really
there?
nice.
It was about 175 people there.
That's
Okay,
And
that's a
so
wonderful.
nice
we
group.
capped it at that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's happening at She Publishing? Are you all publishing at the same pace you were a couple of years ago? Uh, do you have what's on the horizon for your company for the rest of this year and for 2026? Just give us an update.
Yeah. So I do want to say be on the lookout for the next event. Okay.
Okay.
Because it will be in a mansion the next time. And that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I can give away at this particular time.
Look
But
at
yeah,
you.
our
Wow.
our our authors, this is you have these conventions so you can bring people together and they get inspired. And I'm gonna tell you, I've had about maybe I will say maybe 8 phone calls from people I don't know who want to publish books from this event. And
Okay.
then current authors want to publish other events because they have inspired each other. So we are continuing to publish books uh, to the end of this year. And now that the gala is over, we will have that time to really spend with our prior authors to continue to set goals with them to keep them inspired. Because you publish a book, you think it's gonna sell on its own, and it's not. You have to create these goals. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
all new authors think that unless they have some experience in the industry, which most don't.
Yeah.
Because now anybody can publish a book, and everybody is, and so they think if I build it, they will come. And that's not what happens. That's not the way any of this works. So
Yeah.
everything has to be promoted, you know. And Coca-Cola is a good example. Everybody knows Coca-Cola, but they still advertise. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Now,
because
Michelle. Mm-hmm.
no, go ahead.
No, you go, Gwen.
No, I was done. I was done.
So Rhonda, so
Yes.
Michelle Knight, right?
Yes.
She wrote a
I was very happy to see that she came.
Yeah, she wrote a book called That Book Won't Write Itself. And I'm like,
Yes.
your second book needs to be That Book Won't Sell Itself, you know?
Exactly.
Yes. Mhm.
But
You are
yeah,
right.
Yeah, that would be a good title. To the point.
yeah, yeah. And so the author, so when we were at the gala, the author was talking about, oh man, my award is all the way over there. I wanted to showcase my Black Authors Matter
Oh,
award.
go get it. Go get it.
It's
Because it'll be, just take a minute to go get it.
okay, I'll be right
Because,
back.
yeah, because we changed the award. We had the acrylic awards, and they were somewhat small, and then we didn't have the individuals' names on it. We had the category on it because we
Right.
were doing them before the award show. So we decided to change it to a plaque, and so it has our logo on it in 4 color, and then it has the name of the person on it.
Yeah, they
So,
came out very beautiful. I mean, I had
mhm.
an author call
Oh,
me today wanting to know about his award because he wants to show his award off. And
yes,
these are
Marvin.
awards you can actually show off.
Yeah,
This award is beautiful. When I got it in the package, those colors are vibrant. You see the name. It is just, I'm excited. So I'm putting it up on my wall like Rhonda got all her awards on her wall. You're gonna see it on my wall.
yeah. So we changed, the whole thing. We decided to go in a whole different direction, and so
I gotta tell
it went
you,
out later.
I gotta tell you the story behind. I've always wanted to have an I love me wall, but
Okay.
Love that.
my not the boss that I have now. I have great leadership right now, but the boss I had uh, while we were teleworking used to try to play me like I wasn't smart. So I was like, okay, I had just moved into this house. I'm like, okay, it's time to put my awards back on the wall because she needs to know who I am.
Oh,
So
that's
I
amazing.
made sure that I purposely positioned them so she can see who I was
Yes, yes.
without me having to say anything.
Yeah,
I
sometimes you
love
have to do
that.
that with people.
Mhm.
Because they assume things,
Exactly.
and that's just stupid. When you assume things, you make an ass out of yourself. That's what
This is
Exactly.
you
true.
do. And
This is
so,
true.
you know, so thank you for showing the award to everybody. And Marvin, his is on the well, it will be on the way. The box that his is in with some others is the tracking said it's going to be here tomorrow. So
Well, that's
it'll
so
go
funny. You
out.
knew who I was talking about when I said an
Yes,
author.
I did. I did because he had already reached out. He reached out to everybody, so including me. So
Yes.
he is
Including me.
anticipating. He's anticipating it. So he should have it by the weekend or Monday at the latest. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
so I think he'll be pleased with
He
it.
excited. He wanted to showcase his award, and we're having like a day 3. So day 3 is not the third day of the event. Day 3 is a recap
Oh.
of the gala, and it's gonna be like a 3-4 hour show. Look, we got that from y'all. It's gonna be like a
Okay.
3-4.
What do they say? Or copying somebody is the best form of flattery.
Right.
That's what they say. So,
Yeah.
we don't have a problem with people doing that because guess what? We were first, and we're up to 800 guests. Nobody will check. Nobody will catch us.
Man.
Nobody will catch us. So, because they're not as committed. You have to be dedicated and committed. because you can get if you can get disappointed if you don't see the numbers that you think you should have right away. We're fortunate that we have the book festival's Facebook that has so many people. So we're able to spread the word to a lot of people. But if you don't have that, you have to have a platform that
Yeah.
already has followers.
Mm-hmm.
So, otherwise, you have to pay Facebook a fortune, either there or on Instagram.
Yeah.
You still have to pay them, even if you have a lot of followers, because nothing is free, and Facebook definitely isn't. But
Mhm.
it's a building process. We've been on there really diligently for 10 years. And the show, we just recently celebrated our 5 years with the show. So we were, and that was a quick 5 years. It's amazing how fast 5 years goes by.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I
It's
ain't
hard to
trying to do it
believe.
every year like y'all do it. This is a one-time thing. Like I'm not look, I'm too busy publishing books to be it's hard for me to be consistent when it comes to the Tuesday She Pub Network that we do. Like it's very difficult. So what you guys are doing is amazing. And then you're giving us this platform to share our stories and to share our businesses and what we do. I know you guys were talking to another publisher, and I was trying to get connected with her. Who was that publisher who at the end of the last interview you said to reach out to her?
Oh, well, she's the acquisitions director for Black Odyssey Media.
Yes, Black
Yeah.
Odyssey. Yes.
Yeah.
Black,
So,
yeah, see, remember you two were sponsors for the Black History Month Literary Weekend last year.
Yes.
mhm.
And
Yes.
I tell you, y'all, the support that you guys give both of our platforms is just amazing. And that's why I said every time I'd be like, all right, let me help. You'd be like, no, Rhonda. I'm like, no, I want to help.
Mm-mm.
Well, and also we're happy that we're able to give a platform to your authors who are
Yes.
releasing books because you all, BK Royston and Black Odyssey, because they don't get exposure. It's hard for them to get exposure. And when you don't get exposure and you feel like nobody knows what you're doing. And so this gives them some confidence, you know,
Right, right.
that they are getting exposure. And then they get comfortable talking about their books because something that you have to do as an author, you have to sell your book. You have to sell the story, not just sell it like hand to hand sell. You have to be able to talk about your work in such a way to make it interesting so people will want to buy it. So, the more practice you get with doing that, the better you'll get.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a tip. That is truly a tip for the books that some of us or authors just are not aware of. This is the platform where you can practice on. You know what I'm saying? Um, know a 1-2 minute pitch. I have an author who always says, I'm a salesman who wrote a book. And I'm gonna tell you, she is such the salesman. She takes her book everywhere she goes and she's selling it
Mm-hmm.
everywhere she goes. And I'm like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? Well, hey, this is what I do. Well, I'm not a salesman, so I have to try to sell my authentic story, So I mean, if that's what I want to do, but yeah, when you talk about numbers, people get so discouraged about numbers, and it's like,
Right,
just take it
right.
at your own pace. Somebody might be saying 10,000. Don't think the first year you're going to be making 10,000 sales. I mean, if you make 10 sales, if you make 50 sales, if you make 100 sales, that's a great number for you, being a first time author. It is
The,
okay.
I
the
think you also
average
have to remember
person,
that, but the other thing is you have to remember that not everybody is honest about their book sales, unfortunately.
you
They
took
And
the
then
not.
words
people,
out of my mouth.
They
People
not.
lie about their numbers. Now, the thing
Yes.
about social media is, unless you've got some bots and some tech person that can create followers, your
Mhm.
followers, that you can't lie about that. unless you're, and then if you got somebody doing bots, you're lying. That's a lot. That's not real people. But one thing people will say, well, I'm this and I've been here and I got all people know me. Then you go look on there, you look on in social media and they got 150 followers. Well, that's great, but that's a small number. And that means when you post something, nobody sees it. Because normally in that realm, you might get one like if you get that.
Yeah. Look,
So
I have 1 point maybe 3K followers on Facebook, and still, just because I have that many, and that still ain't a lot, but just because I have that on Facebook doesn't mean that you're getting that engagement.
right,
That,
right.
you may have 30 people or 80 one day, or I'm never seeing 1,000 of them people. Like, I'm seeing a bunch of people viewing, not a lot of people liking, people
Right.
scrolling through, you
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm case in point, what, 20,000 followers on Instagram. I have almost 3,000 on TikTok.
Yeah.
A couple thousand on Facebook, and I had way more on Facebook before I got the H word.
Yeah.
I don't like to say
Yeah.
it because then they come out and they start talking about
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
still do. And the
Yeah.
AI is making them more
Mm-hmm.
believable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I say all of that to say I have
Mhm.
all of these followers, but it doesn't mean that all of them see your stuff. And
Right.
it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that all of them, even if they see it, are going to engage. And what I've found about my audience, I have people who have contacted me and said, I want to work with you. Oh, I saw that reel where you said such and such. They never commented. They didn't even
Right.
like, but they saw it,
Hmm.
and I wound up converting a sale because they saw it. So I tell that story to tell anybody who's in this situation, do not get discouraged because you
Yeah.
don't think you have the followership that you should have. The people who are following you, they are watching you. Just not everybody is going to engage, but they see you and they
Yes.
see your consistency and they will reward your consistency.
Yeah.
That's
I,
true.
I wanted to piggyback on really quick when we talk about, people misleading you about their book sales and how much they're selling. So, one of our authors went to a convention with a best-selling author who was within their community. And this best-selling author revealed that she bought about 5 to 10K of her own book. And
Mm,
that's how she became a best-selling author. And that's what a lot of the major publishing companies are doing. They
Hmm.
are buying 5,000 copies of your book themselves
Hmm. Yeah,
to push you
it's a formula to it. Or some of them like that they're paying to have their book on display at the front door in Barnes and Nobles or wherever it is. They're paying for those cardboard structures and for the book to be front and center. That's money too. But yeah, people lie
out.
about their sales, and because the average indie book has 250 sales. That's it in the life of the
mm.
book.
It's
250.
it. It
That's
is
the
the truth.
average indie sale. So if you sold more than that, you're ahead of the game.
Yes.
And you
Right.
have to do more than one book to have an audience of readers. One book that's about you, which a lot of people's books are autobiographical. Um, in fact, there's a saying that most first books are autobiographical, even if it's not an autobiography. There's some elements of that in there. But if you only have
Yeah.
one book and it's about you and you're not a celebrity, then
Exactly.
mm, nobody really cares. I mean, I know that's harsh, but that's
It's the
true.
truth.
So, do you have something else to say other than just the book about your life or whatever? And a
Yeah.
lot of books have the similar titles too. I would, I would admonish people, try to be original. Don't don't try to duplicate what somebody else is doing. I've seen so many books, and I don't want to do the phrase because I might offend somebody, and I won't do it. But I'll just say this: it's a lot of books that are saying it's their autobiography, and it's a name, and then it'll say from this to that, and the word will be different for each one, but they're all the same. And so, be original, be creative, think about your titles. Try to get some kind of inspiration, a bolting, a lightning bolt that says, get some kind of inspiration. Don't just do what you saw somebody else do. But people lie about everything.
I'm telling you, they be on social media like they done doing this and that, and then they eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But I'm not saying that to be like that, but I'm just saying, like, remember that when you're seeing all of this, don't get then you like, oh my gosh, I only sold 5 books. It's like, and they probably only sold 5 too. Like, you can't believe everything you see.
Right. Because 10,000 books, a lot of that's a big number.
That's a huge number.
Big publishing houses books don't sell that many copies. And people are doing e-reading now or listening to books like Rhonda does. So, you can sell your books in different formats. You still sold it, but as far as the hand copy, the hard copy, paperback or hardcover, then, you may or may not sell, but it's the quality of the sales, because you can sell one book to the right person and then get a book order.
And that's the part that people need to remember. It's the connection.
Yes. So you need to look at it for the long haul, not just, I did this one book and I expect to get my money back in 2 months. That's not going to happen. So you need to look at it long term. Be a long term thinker, not just a short term, not just a quick hit. Just be in it for the long haul. So what do you have? Do you have any new books that are coming out like in the next? Because we only have a couple minutes left. In the next for the rest of this year, do you have anything coming out for the rest of this year? And is it a new author or is it one of your existing ones?
Yeah, so actually it's all of the above. I have new authors coming on board. I have new books coming on board, and I also have my own new books that are coming soon. One of them is it's a spinoff to one of my first series, Keep 'Em Coming Home with Love. I don't forget the name of the darn book. It's the Architecture of a Resilient Woman. And so it's almost like an anthology, but it's actually me telling the stories of friends and different individuals who told me their stories. So that's what that is. But you can check us out on www.shepublishingllc.com. You can check out our books, and or if you have any questions, you can give us a call at 219-515-8032.
And Shenitha is very accessible. She has a wonderful personality
and a huge
beautiful heart.
Oh, thank you.
But she's no pushover, so don't think you can get one over on her.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me again. I'm glad to be a part of the Black Authors Matter family, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.
Okay, and I'm sure we'll have one of your authors on in the coming months.
Yes.
So that'll be great. All right, take care and
God bless you,
congratulations.
Shenitha. Love you.
Okay. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, this is the end of the show, and we'll be back next week with another amazing lineup. And if you all are planning to attend the book festival, the hour-by-hour schedule is on the website. You can look at everything that's going to be happening, plus the list of all the participating authors. And it's going to be great. I'm excited about it. And if any of you are Divine Nine in any of the orgs, we have something special for you. So
it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be awesome, and Rhonda's gonna be a big part of that because she is a Zeta, and we have 20 plus Divine Nine authors this year.
Yeah, I saw the promo. It's cool.
Yeah, for all the orgs. The only org that's not represented is Iota, and we had one Iota author, but he didn't follow through. He registered, but he didn't follow through. So, but we have all the other orgs represented very, very well. So anyway, that's it for tonight, and we'll see you next Tuesday on another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.